Hi, we're Doug and Mary, a retired couple traveling around North America in a Toyota Sienna minivan converted into a camper. We try to stick to the back roads and look for hidden gems along the way.
Last time, we worked our way north and east through the long expanses of Labrador, stopping at a few remote small towns and finally reaching the Labrador Sea at the farthest easterly point we could drive on mainland North America. Then, more stunning scenery to take the ferry across the very windy Strait of Belle Isle to Newfoundland.
This stretch of road along the northwest coast of Newfoundland is called the Viking Trail. It is windswept and remote, with a very few tiny villages in some of the sheltered coves and inlets. This was our preview of road conditions that would continue over almost the entire island. Luckily, there was a quiet camp spot not too far down this road.
Well, it may not be every day you see a rainbow, but it's every day that we've been on Newfoundland we've seen a rainbow.
There's an interesting custom in the rural areas where people will fence off a small section of ground by the highway and plant a garden plot. More sunlight and extra soil pushed off from the road during construction makes better growing conditions. These gardens and sometimes firewood stacks could be almost anywhere on public lands. On the edge of the road, there's a lot of these little garden plots. From what I understand, people say is that the best dirt around is the dirt that was pushed off to the edge of the road when they built the road. So this one looks like it's all beans. Oh, there's some rhubarb over there and some other vegetables, but they look like they're doing well.
Lansau Meadows National Historic Site has an amazing interpretive center and guided tour of the location where the Europeans established a settlement over 1,000 years ago. We like to call them Vikings, but Vikings were actually warriors and only men of the Norse people from what is now Norway. In reality, these settlers were explorers, traders, and craftsmen.
Despite the unrelenting wind on this exposed northern tip of Newfoundland, it is beautiful and wild. There are remains of 8 sod and timber buildings at this location. There were several lodging halls, gathering halls, and an iron smelting building. Numerous tools and other objects were also found here. This is thought to have been designed as a temporary or seasonal facility and used over a period of only 20 years, and it included both men and women. This location is the only confirmed site of Norse presence in North America. The area they called Vinland is probably describing excursions that they made from this location to Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, where they discovered wild grapes and berries.
Your destination will be on the left.
We continued around the bay to Cape Norman, and as far north as you can drive on the island, which is even more harsh and windswept, but contains several endangered plants in the unique limestone barrens ecosystem. There is also a working radar station and lighthouse here.
Very horizon there, you can see the coast of Labrador.
We were able to find a secluded spot for the night down the road.
Farther down the road in Flowers Cove are the remains of the longest life forms to have ever lived on Earth. These microorganisms were the only life on Earth from 3.5 billion to 650 million years ago. These thrombolite remains are very rare, occurring only here and in one bay in Western Australia. This section of highway hugs the coast and offers great views out on the Gulf. Arches Provincial Park contains fascinating natural rock formations formed by coastal wind and water erosion, which will continue to erode the rocks until they too are just gravel. And of course, Mary just loved looking for interesting rocks.
We entered Gros-Morne National Park of Canada, and then the town of Rocky Harbor within the park, where we found a laundromat that also had a picnic table, so we were able to wash clothes and fix dinner. While there are campgrounds inside the park, reservations are needed weeks or months in advance, and we just don't travel with a strict schedule, but we did find a nice spot not far outside the park.
Take the next right onto Bombay Road, Newfoundland and Labrador 431 West.
This meant some backtracking tomorrow, but the drive is so spectacular that it's worth doing it another time. The road was a bit rough getting in, but we made it in time to enjoy a nice sunset.
Without even a ripple on the water, the next morning was only the second time on the trip where the weather had been agreeable to getting out the drone, and we might not get many more chances. There are huge swaths of dead trees caused by spruce budworm, which is a native species. However, there are no longer any young stands to replace the dead trees, since moose quickly eat the tender young saplings. Moose are not native to Newfoundland and have only been on the island since 1900. They have no natural predators like wolves to keep the population in check.
They aren't terribly scared because they're not going very far. Of course, those little guys can't go real fast anyway. Boy, they stick together. I imagine all those little feet underneath there going like crazy.
You don't see flower pots like these very often, so we needed to stop and take a few photos.
That's our camp spot for the night. And the awning seems to be working with slight modifications. And this is our view. Not a bad view all in all. Could be a little more shade here, but I guess we made our own. All of Mary's little friends are here this morning. On the outside of the screen.
This little thermocell gadget is a lifesaver. It takes a little butane cartridge and a replaceable patch of fabric stuff and puts out a fine vapor that repels most bugs. We use it in the van when we are coming and going, and they won't even enter through the open doors. After we turn it on, they won't even hang around the window screens.
See, typical breakfast.
Go breakfast, that's right.
On the shore of a beautiful inlet, fjord or something, and just as it's about to rain.
Again. It was one of those days where a pint of local brew and a pizza sounded like the perfect lunch, and the town of Dildo was the place. Jimmy Kimmel mentions the town sometimes on TV, and the town seems to appreciate that.
The weather cleared up and we found a beautiful boondocking spot overlooking Trinity Bay.
Wow, this has got to be one of the most beautiful spots we've stayed at. Just off of a little town called Heart's Delight. And it's right on the Trinity Bay. It's just gorgeous. These kind of $1 million views, I'm just amazed we can get these for free. And this is where we're camping tonight.
And that's where we stop for today. Join us next time when we find more of Newfoundland's history, visit St. John's, and hit the farthest easterly point in Canada, as well as in North America. If you enjoyed riding along with us on our travels, please tap the subscribe button if you haven't already.
Thanks for watching.